Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Saints Network podcast, your weekly dose of all things Southampton Football Club. We'll look at the games that we've played over the course of the last week, 2 matches this particular occasion. We'll look at any other news in the club. We'll look at news in the Championship, other things that are going on, results, etc. We'll generally just have an hour's chit-chat about Saints. That's what we do here. So if you are new here, please make sure you hit all those magical YouTube buttons for us. Hit the like button if you enjoy it. Smash subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live in the future. You're all amazing. Also, if you get yourself in the Discord server, it also notifies you when we go live. You can see the link in the video description below or in the show notes on the podcast if you want to get involved. If you are a member of the channel, if you have a green name, then you get extra areas on Discord. If you're not yet, you can also become a member of the channel, also using that join button on YouTube or looking in the link below. And if you do that, that financially supports us. And that's really important for us because, as I keep saying every week, as it stands, we run this at a loss, and it would be great for that not to be the case.
No.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'm like his carer. Anywho, on to this.
What?
Well, if you become members, then he doesn't run out of clothes in November and have to wear a Christmas jumper. Also, that also helps.
It's Christmas now.
It's not Christmas.
Christmas tree's up.
It's not December.
Christmas hat's on.
Not December.
I work in retail. It's been Christmas since August, mate.
Tomorrow is Christmas. December. All right? It's not December.
I'm going to wear this Christmas jumper every show in December and the last one in November.
He's not lying, and he won't wash it either. It's grotty. Anyway,
So I got married.
Today is a bittersweet podcast. It's a good and a bad. It's a positive and a negative. It's a praise and a criticise. It's a bit of both. And I think some people will be anticipating Ash and I coming online and being quite negative. And if you take yesterday in isolation, I think it's a reasonable expectation, in honesty, having watched the game yesterday. However, I'm not feeling all that negative. We'll go into it as to why, of course. But what we saw this week was we saw Saints take on Leicester on Tuesday at St Mary's. And we saw Saints take on Millwall yesterday at the Den in London Town. And it was quite a juxtaposed kind of 2 games, right? So we saw
chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Chalk and cheese is it's a common way of saying juxtaposed. So on Tuesday, taking on Leicester, that was, honestly speaking, that was probably the game I was the most nervous about, I reckon, out of Tonda's 5-game trial period. And I say the 5-game trial period because I've heard talk and rumours from the club that he had been given 5 games to kind of for them to make their mind up, right? And after Leicester, what we were all saying in the stadium, I think a lot of people were saying, how can you not give him the job? If you're unaware, obviously Saints ran out victors at Leicester. Excuse me. Sorry. And I would suggest it was pretty convincing as well, to be honest with you. Wasn't it, the Leicester game?
You just had to play 45 minutes and job was done.
Which was not too dissimilar to the game before, in essence.
No, but I think we were better all over the pitch than we were against Charlton, against a potentially better side. It's different team, different opponents.
And if we touch on Leicester to start with, right? Leicester was the game I was concerned about. Leicester was the game that I think a lot of people that I'd spoken to were concerned about. The one that was the challenge, I guess. And I thought it was a pretty convincing victory. Now that there was, Leicester didn't have a left back, I think it was. They played a youth player whose name escapes me right now.
Alupo.
Thank you. And he kind of got bullied. He made a bit of a rash challenge early on and got himself a booking. At that point, I think any manager worth his salt would say to his team, run at him. He's young, he's inexperienced, he's got a booking. They did. He got himself sent off. I feel for the lad because he's a young lad, being put in to fill that spot. So I do feel for him, but he got himself sent off. We scored 3 relatively convincing goals. 2, interestingly, from set pieces and Taylor Harabella's headers.
One that was very, very offside.
Actually,
it wasn't. When you watch it back, it wasn't as offside as I thought, but it was still offside.
Well, the thing is, as well, is what's interesting is afterwards, Taylor comes out in the press and says that they'd worked specifically on set pieces. And that set pieces was something they thought was important and needed to be a strength of theirs, specifically against Leicester. And we scored 2 goals from set pieces. At that point, I'm thinking, Jesus, this Tonda might be a bit of a genius. Because at that point, we've played 4 games. Leicester was pretty convincing. The game before was pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Very convincing, in fact. We played beautiful attacking football. Obviously we scored 5 the game before, 3-0 against Leicester. We then hit that clean sheet. He's decided we need to work on set pieces. We work on set pieces. We scored 2 from set pieces. You think, where's this fucking lunatic come from? Like, what on earth's this? Yeah, and this steely-eyed German looks like he's about to put Pep Guardiola out of a job.
It's Tonda eyes.
So I was like, this is cloud 9, 4 games, 4 wins, 12 points, multiple goals. I think he scored the same amount of goals or more goals than Will still had in his whole tenure.
Yeah.
Conceded 3 or 2 or whatever it was at that point, and Saints are flying. Sounds good.
Don't start Cam.
And
I'm going to win this one.
Going into Millwall, honestly, I'm going to say it, I was quite confident that we'd get a result. Interesting, why?
Because it's Millwall. It's just
right.
a hot... It's a hot... excuse me. It's... Firstly, a few reasons. Firstly, it's a championship and anyone can beat anyone. And we've been seeing that constantly all season. Apart from Sheffield Wednesday, anyone can beat everyone. And on Friday night, I watched Oxford beat Ipswich. So you always make you worry. You had the fact that you were missing players. Downs was suspended because he got booked stupidly against Leicester. Cienza was missing.
Sick.
He was sick, yeah. Eating more.
Downs knew he wasn't playing, so he cooked dinner for Cienza.
Yeah. They decided to have a night out together. That was bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's hard to keep a winning like that coming. It was going to have to come to an end at some point. And I just thought that maybe we were a bit overconfident. I'm not saying Tonda was. I said as fans, maybe we were overconfident. Millwall's a hard place to go.
Alison, by the way, can you tell me your other half's birthday and we'll do that thing for you? Don't you worry. Yeah, you're right, but it's Millwall, and they're at best a championship side, I think. Maybe I'm being unfair here. And the way we've been playing and the type of football we've been playing, I genuinely felt quite confident going into that game. I did have a slight level of confidence knocked because Leo was sick.
Yeah.
But I also am a firm believer that you're not going to win titles, even the championship, you don't win titles with one player, right? So if Leo's sick and we can't win, we have a problem. Because in 3 games' time, when someone kicks him up in the air because there's enough of him and he hurts himself, he's out for a month, for example, it could happen. Like if we flat can't win with him in the sides, so I was still cautiously optimistic because I think the team had shown even without him some of the link play that had been going on between Armstrong, Azaz, Fellows, Yanda, even without Cienza's involvement. I thought to myself, we should be fine. We should be able to. But what I watched yesterday is not what I'd seen so far. So what we were doing previously, we were making passes, we weren't losing the ball, we weren't making silly decisions, we were closing down, we were not letting people have space, we were playing a slightly higher press. Yesterday we didn't. Millwall outworked us. I don't think their quality was much better. I mean, don't get me wrong, their second goal was a bit of a worldie, but otherwise I don't think their quality was much better. I honestly, when we went 1-0 up with a penalty, I thought it was a slightly soft penalty, but there was a clear shirt pull. I think Taylor goes down a bit easy, but when his shirt's the other side of the penalty box, I can see why the ref gives it. Yeah. And when Armour smashed that away, I did sit there, I did think to myself, not sure we deserve that. I don't think we should be ahead. What I found quite interesting yesterday was that we had the higher possession again and struggled to create, which has been a bit of a story for the season. In games where we have high possession, we seem to struggle to create. When games when we have even possession to lower possession, we create loads.
Firstly, happy birthday for Alan tomorrow.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Yeah. I'm going to make a bold assumption that it's the same surname, but happy birthday, Alan, for tomorrow. Hope you have a wonderful day. Sorry, Saints couldn't do it the weekend before your birthday. Hopefully they'll do it after.
That'll be good.
If you're a Saints fan,
you're a Saints fan, yeah. If you're not, what are you doing?
But happy birthday. Ash will write you a card.
Yeah, and it'll get lost in the post.
Yeah. You can have that jumper.
You're not having my jumper, no. Do one. This is my jumper. What are you on about? Sorry, what was I saying? What are we talking about? Football. Yeah, football. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's what we're all doing here. Brilliant.
Thank you. You're very welcome, mate. Hope you have a great birthday.
So we played QPR, and it was KG first half. We go 2-0 up, and then we sit on it, and we come away with the win. We play Sheffield Wednesday, and it's a bit sort of casual 3-1 win, fine, not a problem. But second half, Sheffield Wednesday sit a low block, nothing really happens, the game fizzles out. We play Charlton, who play an expansive game, like we do. We exploit the gaps. Second half, they put a low block on, game fizzles out. Play Leicester, who play an expansive game, take advantage of it, they go down to 10 men. Second half, they put a low block on, game fizzles out. It's not hard to work out what Millwall were going to do. They were going to play a low block. Simple.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
and they bullied us.
They were just more physical. Yep. They were. I don't think there's. I honestly, maybe this sounds harsh to any Millwall fans that might be watching or listening. I don't think they showed me that they have a higher level of ability than us overall. They just kind of worked harder. And what I said to you before the show was, we almost looked fatigued. So what I feel like, and this frustrates me to say this for clarity, but what I feel like is, up until now, we haven't really been asked to work hard by managers, by coaches, right?
Well, supposedly we had been.
We knew under Russell that we weren't as fit as we perhaps should have been. We knew that didn't necessarily improve throughout the Premier League. I think we looked a bit fitter under Will, but we hadn't really been like Will told us all about this high press, high pressure football. We just kind of never played it. And what I have seen, again, in all those games you just mentioned, for the most part, is a lot more running than I've seen before. A lot more running than I've seen before. And as much as I hate to say this because of the money they get paid, I think yesterday we looked kind of fatigued. And I think a few players had an off game. Now, bringing in Cam Bragg over Flynn Downs. I mean, Flynn Downs couldn't play. Bragg had a phenomenal game 2 games beforehand. I think that was probably a reasonable call. Putting Stevens back in over Kwashi, I'm interested as to why that swap happened. I don't know if he's just resting him. I don't know if he put Kwashi in for a reason against Leicester.
Kwashi was put in because he knows Leicester have got a lot more pace, so he had him in there specifically for his
pace.
But
I don't like chopping and changing centre backs when you're solidifying a back three. I don't like swapping and changing centre backs. And yesterday they kind of looked a little bit less in sync than they had done in previous games. And I wonder if the change maybe caused that. They sort of got on top of each other a little bit. I honestly think that Manning yesterday had an utter fucking shocker. I don't think he had a great game at all. When their third goal, I think he probably could have got his body in the way of it. I think it was their first or second goal. He tried some stupid back heel, gave away possession. They scored from it. Mm-hmm. And then later on he tried another stupid fucking back heel, lost possession again. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, that's not how we play football. It hasn't been how we play football for the last 4 games. So why are you trying to do it now? Armour, I think, didn't get a lot of space. They did a lot of work to not give him a lot of space. And I think when Leo's not on the pitch, it's easier to find the other players and not give them the space. He obviously scored his penalty and Azaz got another goal. All the Middlesbrough players that have been gobbling off about how terrible Azaz is. He's now got 5 goals on the bounce, I think it is.
Yep.
I think
5 and 4, but yeah.
I think he's showing some quality at last. Fellows had a couple of little runs, but they kind of shut him down. And what they did is they were like, shut him down. We're good. And then we just kind of were a bit all over the place. Aribo comes on. Joe Aribo comes on. I'm a Aribo fan, to be fair, right? Not just because of the song. Just an Aribo fan. He's fucking not interested this season.
Don't want to be.
He doesn't want to play. And he looks off the pace. He looks disinterested. He's just not really. He doesn't offer anything when he comes on, which is a concern. We then actually bring Romeo on. Didn't really offer anything.
He was okay. He wasn't. The problem is, so I didn't watch the first half because I was working. Because this isn't my job yet, guys. If everyone becomes a member right now, I might get close to it. I listened to the second half and then I watched the game yesterday evening after the wife went to bed early. Hope she's not watching now. And I think there's a few decisions that were there. I think Flynn Downs getting the booking against Leicester obviously takes that bit of experience away from a place like you go to in Millwall. Like Ian has said, even Ian, I honestly thought that Millwall would tire towards the end of the game because they had a day less, but they didn't. But Millwall also had 11 first-team players out injured because Alex Neil works them bloody hard, so they are very fit. And even the team they put out yesterday was still a competitive team. It's not to mention they beat us yesterday. They're third at the moment, so they're not mugs to what they're doing. And we'll talk about specific goals and stuff in a minute. I think Fellows wasn't able to get down the pitch as much. I think there was moments. The difference between Will Steele being in charge and yesterday with Tonda is there were still moments when they were still. I don't think they were. Some players had bad days, which we know, but they were still trying to play. That was the difference. They were still trying it, and I think that. Excuse me. Apologies. Still
what is man flu, by the way?
If
he hasn't mentioned it 18 times already.
I'm dying. It's a thing. Right, it is a thing.
It actually, strictly scientifically, is a thing, man flu.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much.
There is scientific evidence. It's to do with XX versus XY chromosome.
Yes, doctor. Anyway, what was I saying? Sorry, I lost it again. Football.
You said Millwall were third. They're clearly no mugs. They know what they're doing.
They did have 11 first-team players out. We had a fair few team players missing, and they just. If any Millwall fans are watching, and I said this on the Twitter feed last night, they deserved to win.
They did.
They bullied us. I think that
go on.
Bragg didn't get the levels that he was before, but it's a hard place to go. Yander wasn't necessarily clicking. Armour didn't get a lot of space. Azaz tried a lot, but it didn't come off. Robinson was okay, but he's just a bit weak.
Yeah, he is weak. His final ball's not the greatest.
He doesn't. He carries the ball, but he wasn't doing it to the style that Leo was doing it yesterday. So instead of playing with the three and the wingers forward, the fullbacks were further back, and it was just struggled to get out.
Right. The big thing I noticed with Robinson overall is that that end product is the better phrase than final ball. The end product, right? Leo carries the ball. He then finds a pass. Normally, he'll find a pass that feeds someone in some space. Robinson just currently hasn't unlocked that part of his game properly yet. So we'll see. What I want to do, which I think everyone's going to be surprised at, is I want to take a positive from yesterday, right? So Ian has said, man for man, they were better. I agree. I think someone else said it might have been him that they just worked hard. I agree. I think yesterday we were shit. Right? I'm gonna say it. I messaged you. I think I said to you yesterday, whilst we were watching it or listening to it at different places, we're shit. We look shit, right? And we nearly got a point out of it. I know we didn't. I know you're going to think I'm clutching straws here. I'm not. We lost to a equaliser in the 98th minute of 7 minutes of overtime, right? Or extra time, which is anyway.
Winner, not equaliser, but yeah, carry on.
Sorry, yeah, you know what I meant. We lost to a winner in the 98th minute or 97th minute of 7 minutes overtime, which I thought was a lot as well, to be fair. However, here's what I want to say, right? If we had played like that, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, we'd have got absolutely battered. Absolutely battered. You said to me, and this is, I want to jump ahead a little bit here and talk about Tonda Eckert, right? You said to me last week before Leicester, we need to see what he does when shit's going wrong. Because at the moment, he's just had kind of an easy time of it. Like, we've gone ahead, we're winning games, we shut them down, we shut out. And I'm like, well, if he does that every game, why do we care what he does when we're under pressure? Because if he's doing that every game, it's not a problem. What we saw yesterday was his team played like crap. They weren't doing the same things they were doing for the previous 4 games. They weren't playing the same way. They weren't creating the same chances. They weren't as free-flowing. They weren't pressing as hard. And yet we nearly got a point out of it. In fact, Adam Blackmore and Yotessim, because what I did yesterday, right, is I just VPN'd into America and watched it on Saints Player. Adam Blackmore, easy, innit? Adam Blackmore and Yotessim, the way they were talking about it was...
Hi, government.
Before the winner went in, they were like... And I agree with them, and I don't agree with a lot of what those two say, but I agree with them. Before the winner went in, they basically said, if you can play terribly, which we have, and grind out a point... That's a good place to be.
When you can't win, make sure you don't lose.
Right, and I agreed with that. And I have to be honest with you that I didn't think we played well, and we nearly got a point. And I know that's clutching. I get it, but it's a 98th minute winner. How often do you see 8 minutes of stoppage time? It's a 98th minute winner. And it was also, I will say, right, and I know there's a lot of Baz haters out there. I think he's got to do better there. I think Manning's got to do better there. I think it was a really fucking weak goal to concede at the end of the game.
It was a horrendous goal to concede at the end of the game.
That being said, their second goal was a bit of a worldie. Nothing you can do about that.
There is. You shouldn't have been allowed to take it.
All right, from a goalkeeper's perspective.
Goalkeeper's perspective.
He should have been closed down, not been given the space.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, you allow a player to shoot like that, it doesn't go in the top corner. 9 times out of 10.
The issues that I have with all 3 goals, the first 2 goals is exactly the same. It's the same. It's the lack of closing down and the lack of effort around it, and that annoyed me. So that's annoying. Mm-hmm. The third goal, it's just the whole thing is just pedestrian, is what I worded to yesterday. And when I watched it, because obviously I'd listened to the goal and I hadn't watched it, and when I watched it back, my son, your nephew, was sat with us, and he just sort of looked at me because he's a big Bazunu fan. He was like, "What is he doing?" And
he was weak.
It's Manning's let it go through, Bazunu's let it go through him, and then Taylor Harwood-Bellis has shinned it. I'm gonna play Dad Bingo, like one of his golf shots, shanks it into the top of the roof of the net. And do you know what?
I felt like that was unlucky, honestly.
It was unlucky. It's football. It happens. And I think that there's a lot of questions. There's a lot more questions for Tonda than answers yesterday. The few points that people have made. Charlie said there, we still scored 2 goals while playing badly. Yes, we did. Positive, right?
Second positive, right? Second big positive on that same point.
Yes.
Is that the goal we scored that wasn't a penalty was also from a set piece. If you look at the whole of the Premier League season and gone, we got a set piece, not a single Saints fan in the stand is going, we might get a goal here. And we've got a lot, like the Leicester game, 2 goals from set pieces. Yesterday, goal from a set piece. He's been working on set pieces, and there's clearly an improvement.
Yeah, James has obviously said, it's just not the first person. A few people made this comment in Discord yesterday about Millwall having 11 players out. They did. The problem is nowadays we can't really judge that much because they're squads and they're all first team players. So we had, I can think of 7-8 players out yesterday that particularly you could say first team squad. What it does is it poses a lot of questions more than answers, and obviously we'll get onto the manager job in a minute. But the goals that were scored, I thought Femi Aziz was superb yesterday for Millwall. I thought he was brilliant.
He was very good,
the first goal.
Yeah.
And although Caleb Taylor's goal 10 minutes later was a cracker, I thought Aziz's finish was superb.
I think Taylor,
really, really well.
I think, I'll be honest with you, Aziz's goal was intentional. I think Taylor just swung a foot at it. Honestly,
he'll do that 100 times in training next week, and it never works.
Right, exactly. That's my point, right? So I do agree that if he's closed down, and both of those situations, if they're closed down and not given the space to pull the trigger, then we don't concede those 2 goals. I agree with that. But specifically the second one from Taylor, I do look at that one and think if he does the same thing 5 times in training this week, he probably puts most of them in row Z. But somehow yesterday it just flew the top corner. So it's interesting. It's interesting that we played badly. We scored 2. I think we had done enough to probably deserve a point. But then, like you said, if you don't win, you've got to guarantee you don't lose, and we didn't do that. And I think that last goal that we conceded right at the end there, it was just a moment of weakness. I actually think that it's a shame. And the reason why I think it's a shame is if we'd have ground a draw out in that game, I think there was an argument, honestly, to give him the job. I think now, because we lost to Millwall away at Millwall, a lot of people will suggest that he still shouldn't be given the job yet. What I'd like you to do, we've just gone over 100 live viewers, what I'd like you to do in chat is I'd like you to tell me right now, at this particular point in time, would you offer him a contract till the end of the season or not?
And hit the like button.
And hit the like button, because that's free, right? That's free. So would you give him, and I'm just saying to the end of the season right now, you can say to me, actually, I'd give him longer. You can do that. But would you give him to the end of the season based on the last 5 games and everything that you've watched since Tonda Eckert has taken over? Would you give him till the end of the season now based on those 5 games? Don't talk about the next game. Don't talk about Norwich. Just based on those 5, would you give it to him?
I'm going to make a slight difference to it because the club have got to be careful here, right? Because if they give him... And I'm going to go against some people here because I'm firm.
No, don't worry about what they're saying. We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to know what you think.
So I'm going to give you my opinion in a minute. But first, I'm going to say the club have got to be careful. If they give him a contract until the end of the season and he does really, 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 really well, then he doesn't sign a new contract. He's free to go elsewhere. If they don't give him a contract quick enough, he's free to go elsewhere. If they give him a contract for 3 years and he's rubbish after that, we could be lambered with him. Would I give him the job now based on the last 5 games? Yes.
Till? Contract till.
The end of next season.
End of next season.
Because traditionally what happens when you sack managers, and it's a big myth that everyone thinks they pay up the whole contract, you don't. You traditionally pay a year's worth of wages, and you say to that manager, we will pay you that year's worth of wages unless you get into another job. And then if you get into another job, we stop paying you because you're now being paid.
The last you need to push your bell end onto your microphone a bit tighter. Just push it towards the microphone.
What?
This bit, do this. There you go. Sorry about the noise.
You asked me to push my bell end on camera. I was like, you told me we had to wait a year for that.
So, right. I actually am surprised that you said exactly what I would do. I'd give him till the end of the 26-27 season. Without doubt.
The problem you have, and everyone's saying the same thing, is that I think he's actually in the chat tonight. I think I saw him earlier. We had one of our Discord members, Maximus, was saying yesterday that he thinks at the moment we're fluking it as a football club, which, his opinion, everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's what we're here for. We like people having opinions.
Of course.
My opinion is we're not fluking it at the moment. It's that good old phrase, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So we gave Tonda Eckert, we gave him QPR on Leicester, Wednesday, and he won. Then gave him the next 3 games, and he won 2 out of the 3. It doesn't matter how many of the 2 out of the 3 he won, but he won 2 out of the 3. So he's won 4 games in 5. He's the first manager to win the first 4 games in a row since 1896. So it's a bit of an impressive start from that aspect. Now, the most important thing for me, and Matty Jones, who's not watching tonight, but obviously he's another one of our Discord, another one of our members, obviously, he said that we don't need to rush for it. We don't need to rush necessarily at the moment. I know people are saying give him longer. I think there's still some questionable decisions that he's made. I also think that yesterday potentially shows squad depth issues by bringing on a Rebo, who should be better, but realistically, if he's going to show that attitude, shouldn't be anywhere near, then we can question some of those decisions.
Which we will in just a second.
He is showing all the right things. He's saying all the right things. I know we've been there before, but the problem is that if I'd have said to you once we sacked Preston, once we sacked Will Still after Preston, the next manager that comes in is going to win 4 out of 5 games, you'd have been like, nah, shut up.
I'd laughed you out the room.
But
categorically.
Now we've got a chance. He's got a week with the squad again. You'll assume that there'll be certain players, Downs is back, certain players come back. I think what we need to be very careful here, and I think we potentially got a little bit carried away, is we've had a terrible season so far up until the last 5 games. Just because Tonda's coming and won 4 games in a row doesn't mean we're going to suddenly go and win every single game.
Right.
It doesn't. We've still got cracks in there. So we said it yesterday, and we'll say it again. His substitutions since he's been in charge have actually been quite woeful. But
is that his substitutions, or is that the bench?
Well, so yesterday we'll take yesterday into isolation, right? So obviously he took off.
Yeah, go on.
He took off Cameron Bragg and brought on Earl Romero, right? Not necessarily a questionable decision. Tom Fellows was cracked. He was done. He was out. He had been running so hard. He'd been up and down and up and down, up and down more than he had been the last few games, and he was knackered. So he brought on Ryan Fraser. Don't necessarily disagree with that decision. He then brought on Joe Rebo, but we still had.
He brought a Rebo on before a Romero.
Yeah, but we still had Madski on the bench, who's looked quite hungry, scored a cracking goal at Norwich. So you question those decisions, but then you also think, if everyone's fit, does Romero get on the bench? I don't think he does. Not Romero, Aribo got on the bench. I don't think he does.
And this is my point. So the reason why someone said in chat, let's go find it. I think it was John. He brought on Joe Aribo and stuck with Baz. I'd wait. So this is my point, right, about the substitutions. Because it's not the first time I've heard that rhetoric. That substitution-wise, he's been quite weak. But I look at the bench, and I'm often just not inspired about who we have on the bench, right? So if you think, for me personally at the moment, if I'm being completely and openly honest, my starting lineup would be something along the lines of, right now, Adam Armstrong up front, Azaz and Cienza behind him, with Yanda, and if he's fit, probably Shea Charles in the middle of midfield, Fellows at right back, Manning at left back, and then the 3, which would be Howard Bellis and Wood definitely, and I don't know who I'd put next to him. I think I'd probably rather have Kwashi.
I will just very quickly say out there, the thing that really gripes me about it with Kwashi being taken out Saturday, and I'm a firm believer in your defence has just kept a clean sheet for the first time in ages. Why bloody change it?
I agree with you. So I would probably go Kwashi overall, right? And he offers you something extra, I think, than Stevens, if I'm being honest. Right? That's my starting lineup, right? So you tell me a person who can do what Adam Armstrong has been doing in the last few games.
Me.
Who have we got that can do that?
Haven't.
Is Archer look that hungry?
We'll get on to Archer later. There you go. Tick off that one.
Does Damien Downs look like he can play football currently? He doesn't.
He can hit something, but it's definitely not the back of the net.
He can't. So
he can hit cards.
So when you need to take armour off, I don't know who you're bringing on who offers you something. Is my point, right? You look at Azaz currently. I mean, he's obviously on fire at the moment. 5 goals in 4.
Yep.
He's looking quite good. He's looking quite creative. Okay, so let's look at the bench. Who's coming on and doing Azaz's job? Right, and so on the other side you've got Cienza, and I know we've got young Jay Robinson. Is Jay Robinson a patch on Cienza? He's not. He isn't.
He's not. No, and I think when you look at players in the squad, and I was having this thought yesterday. You know, we're very close to having Mads Roerslev and Elias Jalert back. So does that potentially allow Tom Fellows to move up the pitch? Potentially with Cienza, with the way he plays and the way Azaz is, do you potentially look at maybe bringing in someone like Samadozi back in when he's back from injury?
No, I don't.
Do you potentially then, and someone's who's made the point, Cameron's made the point, hi Cam, and I agree with him, Adozi, Archer, Rebo, these are players we need to be moving on. Again, more on Archer later.
But this is my point. So and at the moment, if you look at that bench, right, and I'm going to carry on going, you look at that bench and you look at Yanda and even Cam Bragg, Romeo, you have to think isn't fully fit. They were just trying to get him minutes yesterday. I'm sure they would have rather been cruising 2 or 3-0 when they put him on, so he gets minutes. But apart from Romeo, because we love him, reality check, he's not that fit at the moment because he hasn't played since the end of last season, and he's going to have to get minutes to get him up to speed. And you want to do that in games when you're bossing it. So you look at that bench and you look at even young Bragg, and you look at Caspiander. Who on that bench is doing the job that Caspiander's been doing? And this is my point. You go through place by place at the moment. But you look at the bench, you look at who's on that bench, and when people say he's not making impactful substitutions, it's because the bench is a fucking waste of space.
But you also have to look at what he's got, and this is the stupid stuff that obviously people have mentioned. So Cameron Bragg is in there not because, well, he's in there through merit, fine, but he's also in there because Flynn Downs was suspended and Shea Charles is out injured. Damien Downs has been coming on the last few games because...
So if Shea Charles is fit and Flynn Downs isn't injured and Bragg's available and Yanda's available and Romeo's available, I don't think, honestly speaking, Aribo's in the squad.
But he's not playing Aribo in the midfield.
He did yesterday.
Played him, well, he sort of.
But he doesn't make the squad. It's irrelevant. He doesn't make the squad.
No, I don't think he does make the squad, but I think he's got this... At the moment, we're playing Aribo as a flipping winger, which doesn't make any sense at all. I'd rather put Ryan Fraser out there. I'd rather bring one of the kids in.
I would, honestly speaking, I would continue to keep Fellows in his wing-back position, where we've played the deeper three that have sat wider with the wing-back set higher up. It suits Manning better. It suits Fellows. He's playing a great game. And then once he's blitzed them for 45 to 60 minutes, then you drop him off and you put a Jalert on and you go, cool, now you've got him to deal with. He's not as creative as Fellows, but his work rate's quite high. He's a bit more defensive. At that point, you're hoping to be in the lead.
When we talk about Aribo, and I have put in the show notes, talk about Joe Aribo, and I'm glad we're doing so. In the last 4 games that he's come on, apart from the one against QPR when he was doing nothing, he did nothing anyway, we've been cruising. So when he's been shit, we've not really been bothered, have we? Let's be honest. We stood in that stand in the second half, and the most interesting thing against Leicester, the most interesting thing that happened was my son got on a seat and watched football. That was the most interesting thing that happened.
And I know I've heard a lot of comments about this, right? Because it wasn't just Leicester, was it? The game before as well was similar when we were 5-1 up, right? That was a similar game where the second half we might as well not played.
Yeah,
right. Nothing happened. 0-0, 2 second halves, 2 0-0s. But I'm not going to complain about a dull second half because we've cruised to a victory.
I'm not. But when you've got youngsters like Madskin, do you know what? We might see something different because this is going to be the perfect opportunity for him to bounce back against the Birmingham City side, who at the moment are Marmite. They're either really, really good or they're dreadful. And we'll get onto that preview later. But I think that in terms of someone like Bazunu, for example...
Well, so he was criticised for sticking with Bazunu. But, I mean, at this point, it's whether you're picking a lion shit or a tiger shit. Right? Either way, it's a giant steaming pile of shit. And that's what you've got. But I honestly think, and I hate saying it about Saints players, I honestly think that's your choice between McCarthy and Bazunu.
And I'm going to say this now, and apologies if I offend anyone. Can we please stop suggesting that we're going to recall Aaron Ramsdale in January? because it ain't ever going to bloody happen.
No, I mean, I would like it to happen, but you're right.
We'd like it to happen, but people are seriously still thinking we have that option. We do not. It would cost us too much money. We can't afford it. He played for Newcastle yesterday anyway because Nick made an absolute howler in the week and then was injured. And it's just not going to happen. He's not coming back. Put it out your mind. Put it to bed. Move on.
I personally don't see a world where Rambo ever comes back to the Saints.
Unless we get promoted.
Which I don't think we're going to do.
No.
If I'm honest. At the moment. Arguably, there is an argument out there to say that would probably be better for us as a club. But if we don't get promoted this season and we do push for promotion the season after, and then we get relegated again, you know what happens?
Parachute payments.
Fresh set of parachute payments. It's better for us overall as a club.
But
it's worse for us to go up this season and then go down again.
In terms of the attitude, so yes, we were bullied. Yes, they looked fitter than us. Yes, they looked like he wanted it more. Sometimes that just happens in football. And someone did make a comment earlier, apologies, I missed who it was. And they said, I'd rather lose a game like that than lose something 3-0. And do you know what? The goal went in and everyone was saying the same thing. Civil Saints, and it's coming. Oh, look, there it is. Boom. Threw my phone on the sofa, walked upstairs and shot for a minute.
Do you not think that's frustrating? Typical Saints is a frustrating thing to say after the 4 games we played.
Of course, no, it's just the way we are, let's be honest. It's like calling it Spursy. But the one thing that I did notice yesterday, and this is something that I wanted to bring out, I haven't listened to show notes, and I think it potentially shows the attitude of the players now. They may not have been playing the best game, but when Finnazaz scored, he didn't celebrate. His reaction was to turn around and everyone run back to the centre circle. So regardless of whether they were being good or not, they wanted to go for the win. And okay, we created absolutely nothing and didn't make the 5 changes that we could have made because we had young Nick, we had what's his face on the bench, I can't remember his name, young Nick Kunle on the bench, who's been scoring goals for fun, but obviously couldn't get on. But as Saints fans, we've been used to those last minute goals going and us crumbling. And obviously we didn't do it against QPR, which was nice. And we've had a couple of games there, but it was just, in terms of Tonda Bull, as people have been calling it, this is the test. And that's obviously then gone. If we'd have lost to Leicester and beaten Millwall, a lot of those people that would turn around and say, oh, don't give him the job, wait, would probably still be going, give him the job now.
Well, people have also said, wow, it'll be interesting to see how he picks his team up and dusts it down after that loss. And I'm like, did you forget the mess he inherited after Will Still?
And he's still got that mess.
Like he's already picked that team up and dusted them down and then won 4 on the bounce. And I'm going to be straight up. My current gut instinct, my current opinion is, I'd give him a contract for the rest of the season and 1 more season. And the reason why specifically I'd give him an extended contract, so a year and a bit rather than just till the end of the season. I've seen a lot of people saying, yeah, give him a contract till the end of the season. I know it's unfair because I asked you, chat, if that's exactly what you would do. I've also seen a lot of comments out there saying, just keep him as interim. The risk you have, I think, my personal opinion is, as a singular Saints fan, I'm not an authority, of course. We do the podcast because we love it. We're not experts. We're not officially trained media writers or whatever.
Oh, okay.
We're not, My personal opinion is, I think he's shown me enough compared to fucking Nathan Jones, compared to Ivan Juric, compared to Will Still, compared to Ruben Sellers. I think he's shown me enough already that tells me I think he deserves a shot. He's also got more wins than any of those managers, right? In 5 games in charge. The only person who's got more wins than him, obviously, at the moment is Russell Martin under Sports Republic's tenure. And the reason why is because Russell Martin had them for a season and a half and we got promoted that season. So that's why he's got more wins. Tonda has shown more, I think, in 5 games than the rest of those managers, with the exception of Russell Martin, than the rest of those managers have shown in their whole tenure in charge of the club. Furthermore, I think if he continues to do well, and you continue to go, well, he's doing well and he's winning games, we'll just keep him as an interim manager, because why would we commit to a contract if we can get away with it? And he does well, and he does well, and he does well. There's going to be some point where some club's going to go, well, we'll give you a 3-year contract, mate. Mm-hmm. And then he'll fucking go. Because let's not pretend, right? Tonda Eckert is not a Saints man. He got bought in at the start of the season to manage the under-21s because he knows Johannes Spors. He's not a Saints fan. He has no necessary commitment or reason to stay at the club. So if we continue, and we're in the realms, as we always are this time of year, of manager merry-go-round. And if a Premier League club sacks their manager and goes, well, if we look at Tonda Eckert, and let's say we're another 5 games in, and he's won 7 out of 10 games, and he's drawn two and lost one, or drawn one and lost two, and they go, well, we'll give you a 3-year contract. He's fucking gone. And then where are we? So considering the last 4 or 5 managers we've had, we've put a sacking clause in, essentially, that says if we dismiss you, we agree to pay you this much money. So we're not paying out 2-3 years of contract because the club's quite clever. As long as we put that in place, give him the job. Who else out there right now? Of the current unemployed managers market at the moment, who else do you bring in who's potentially going to do better than what he's doing?
So the first thing I'll say to that before I answer that is I think that we've seen enough from Eckert to suggest that he will win more games than he loses, potentially, or he should win more games than he loses in this division. And I also think we've seen enough that he's had... you would suggest, we talk about it now, we're obviously laughing and joking because I'm sporting a beautiful Christmas jumper that was sold to me by Dusan Tadic. He was wearing it, he didn't actually serve it. Anyway, move on. So we're nearly doing Christmas and we've got a fair few games. So you would suggest that in January we can only improve the squad that we've got. Because I think that this season, if anything, has highlighted exactly where we're weak. And in terms of it, again, the conversation, and people keep throwing out the same names. They're saying Brendan Rodgers, who was massively disliked at his last couple of clubs. We're talking, people are throwing out other names, and we're still seeing Russell Martin leaks and Ralph Link. In my opinion, and this is just me, there's no standout candidate that you bring in.
I agree with you. People like Brendan Rodgers as well, right? You talk about Brendan Rodgers, all right, he managed at Liverpool. It's fucking easy to manage at Liverpool when you've got the names that you've got at Liverpool. Innit? Well, actually, apparently it's not, as what's his name's finding out this season.
He won today.
Yeah, but still, you consider the last 2-3 months.
You look at Brendan Rodgers, okay, yeah, he did manage at Liverpool and he did well. He then went to Leicester, won the FA Cup, won something, did well, took them into Europe. He then was at Celtic and won everything that he could do with Celtic apart from the Europa League because obviously Scottish teams never win Champions League.
Yeah, but you expect to win a fair few when you're in a tourist race.
Of course you do, but what I'm saying is that he will think he's of a higher pedigree than the Championship. He's not coming down to Southampton. Do me a favour.
No, he probably isn't unless he genuinely believes on some vision that they can sell him about promoting. But he left Celtic with a pretty damning indictment from the club.
Yeah.
Right? And do you want that? Like, we've had some interesting times over the course of the last 18 months, and longer for that matter, under Sports Republic. Do you want to bring that kind of ego in now? That kind of character? If you read the Celtics letter, the letter that they put out after he was dismissed, if you read that, do you want that kind of character around the club in general?
No, you want someone, and everyone's staying on there, stability. And James has said it's not stability if he doesn't win in the next 3. That's a chance you take on any manager, though. That's the problem. That literally is a chance.
Here's interesting. Garcia says, okay, so my question to yourselves is, do you believe the wins are all due to the manager or the attitude, effort of the players?
Both.
What's the thing that changed?
The manager.
The manager. So Ash is right, both, but why has the attitude and effort of the players changed? Well, that has to correlate directly to the only other thing that's actually changed, which is the manager.
And James has said there, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, people have mentioned him. Obviously, he's managed United, Champions League. He's been paid big money in Besiktas in Turkey. The question would be, firstly, would he take the step down to us? And I've seen it suggested that potentially he would. And then secondly, is he going to do a better job with the current crop of players than Tonda Eckert is doing right now?
Probably not.
Probably not.
So the only thing he might do potentially is attract bigger names in the future, which is something that's like there is a consideration that a well-known big name manager could attract bigger, more impressive names in the transfer windows.
That's obviously a given. That's why Nigel Adkins lost his job.
But then ultimately, that's also kind of null and void. If the team's performing well, players will want to come here. If the team's not performing well, they won't. That's ultimately it.
This time in 2 weeks' time, we're going to sit here on the 14th of December, and we're going to be having played 3 games against Birmingham, West Brom and Norwich, teams that are in various different positions of the league, right? 2 in the sort of mid-table, 1 down the bottom. So by that point, we will know how he responds. Now, people are suggesting give him a bit long, whatever, and I understand the board's position is probably not, but I don't think they're going to do anything, by the way, to make it clear. I don't think they will give him the job yet. I think they're going to wait until it's at least a positive moment before they award him the job. So if we beat Birmingham on Saturday, I think they'll give him the job.
I think they'll wait till just before the Christmas window, the January transfer window.
But we could be sat here in 2 weeks' time talking about 3 wins. We could be sat here talking about 3 losses. We're sat here talking about 3 losses. We're sat here going, I'm glad we ain't given them a job yet. But this is, we could appoint Brendan Rodgers tomorrow and we could lose the next 3.
Interesting on that. We obviously asked chat, would you give him the job now to the end of the season at the very least? Alan says yes. Alison says yes. Ian says yes. Cam says yes, he's done enough. Jamie said yes. James said no, give it until after Norwich. Garcia said no, I would wait as there's no need to rush. Ricksar said yes. David said yes. Charlie said keep him interim until we find a suitable replacement. So he's saying don't give him the job, only have him as an interim manager. Alan said yes, he's the best manager we've had in a long time. I'm inclined to agree at the moment, I'll be honest. Dazza says yes to the end of the season. Because even Russell Martin, right, who's got significantly more wins under his belt, under his tenure, obviously a lot longer than 5 games, there was a football philosophy there that he was ill prepared to come away from, reluctant to come away from, and when he came away from it in the Premier League because he was getting battered, he didn't do a good job. Tonda, for me personally, what we've watched, okay, yeah, he does like to play it out from the back, which I hate. I don't mind playing out from the back, but there are occasions where you're just introducing pressure where you don't need to. And sometimes I wish players had the intelligence. I mean, I'm sure some of them struggle to spell their own name, but I wish they had the intelligence to go, this is not one of those situations where we play it out. We just boot it. But then there's a couple of occasions where you watch them and they'll play it and you're knocking it back the back, and I'm sat there nervous as shit because of what we've watched them do over the course of the last 2 years. And then suddenly the ball's in the opposition's box. I'm like, oh, we're playing a bit of rust ball, but we're also playing a bit more direct. We're playing a bit more attacking. We're playing a bit more flowing. And so, and there's definitely occasions, and this is again a positive that I took from yesterday, right? When we were getting beat, when we were getting beat, but when we were playing that game, at no point did I see us just knocking the ball around the back, going, I don't know what to do here. That wasn't happening. We weren't playing great, but we didn't. The amount of times we've been 2-3 goals down and we're going across the back across the back, back across the back. We're not doing that at the moment under Tonda.
No, there was a little bit of it yesterday, but I think the players, like I said, we will know within the next couple of weeks whether yesterday was just a bad game or whether it was, we've had a bit of a hype up and we go back to bad tricks. And I'm not saying we're going to go and beat Birmingham next week and we'll do a review in a little while, but I think we just need to be very, very careful. People that are saying keep him on an interim level, fine, 100%. That's your opinion, not a problem. But that's a very dangerous game to play if we start then talking about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. There's 28 games remaining in the season.
So if you don't give him the job now, when do you give him the job?
Well, this is the point, isn't it? So Sports Republic might be, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, they might say, right, do you know what, we don't want to give him the job yet because we lost at the weekend. Why don't we just wait? Because, a couple of weeks ago, the fans were singing for us to fuck off. So why don't we just wait until we win the next game or the next couple, and then we'll give them the job? Because let's be perfectly honest, the majority of fans, and I'm going to throw a figure out, probably about 90%, 5% of the fans, they'd have woken up Wednesday morning to a picture of Tonda Eckert holding a Saints shirt saying, I've been given a 2-year contract or 18-month contract. Everyone would have gone, yep, okay, cool, not a problem.
And then, when he loses the game yesterday, they'd all been on social media going, I thought it was a terrible idea.
And this is the problem with football fans, though, isn't it?
It is. Well, absolutely, it's the problem with football fans. Last weekend, I think it was, Tottenham lost, and they're already calling for his head as well.
Well, I don't know. If you'd have watched them last night, I can understand why.
After the Northern, but this is the point, right?
Awful last night.
I think Sports Republic. I think part of the problem is at the moment is that I think Sports Republic as an ownership. I think Solak as an owner. I think one of the reasons why a decision hasn't been made around Tonda, honestly, is because he's less worried about what's going to happen to Tonda and he's more worried about what's going to happen to him.
I also don't think they know at the moment who they really want to be the manager.
But my point being is, for the most part, right, if they'd have bought a new manager in straight away in Will Steele's replacement and he'd have won 4, lost 1, right, Dragons probably sat there feeling quite pretty. When Tonda got the job and won the first game, every single person inside the football club basically went, you can't give him the job. Didn't they? Pretty much, right? Yeah. Interim under-21s manager, you can't give him the job. Then he won the next one, and most people still went, can't give him the job. Then he won the next one, and it kind of switched to a few people were going, actually, we could give him the job. Then he won the next one, and most people were saying, give him the job, right? And yet still, if we'd have given him the job at that point on Wednesday, we lost yesterday to Millwall, and then we lose the next 2 games. Guess what happens? The fans instantly go back to Sports Republic. Sports Republic's fault. Despite the fact that we all would have gone, yeah, he probably should have the job, we would instantly go, Sports Republic's fault.
Do you know the moment that turned it for me when I thought to myself that he'd won the fans' approval? It was on Tuesday night when it sounds stupid.
Give us a wave.
Give us a wave.
Yeah.
And at that point, you kind of knew, because that never happened with Will Still, because he was never in a position to do that. But you just think to yourself, that's a change. And now,
I do like the fact that he has been unkeen to talk about it.
He still won't mention it.
I like that. I respect that quite a lot. He won't talk about it. He just focuses on the football. I'm a fan of that.
He did mention the other day in his press conference pre-Millwall that there has been conversations with Johannesburg, but that's it.
Yeah. I think, for me personally at the moment, chat, this is where I'm at. I would give him a deal, and I would give him a deal until the end of the next season. So we have a bit of longevity, perhaps with an option to extend, because I think that he could be quite a promising manager. And what I would hate to see is Sports Republic to let him get snatched from underneath our noses because they're too worried about appointing him, and then them getting the hatred from the fans again if we don't do quite so well. Despite the fact that my current opinion, which has changed drastically from the start of the season, is we are at best a playoff squad. I don't think we're a top of the table squad at the moment.
Make no mistake about it. In 5, 6, 7 years' time, I think Tonda Eckert will be managing at the very highest level. And by that point, I mean Champions League clubs. Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Interesting.
100%. I think the way he plays his game, he's got a certain philosophy. He's happy to adapt. It's going to be very interesting to see how he goes. Yesterday, he didn't make all 5 changes. He was happy to stick with what he had because he thought that we were still threatening. And we were, to a degree. And we got the equaliser. Sometimes football feels that way. Alison just said it there. Tuesday night was brilliant. It was good fun. It was great. We were rocking. Yesterday, as we put on the show title, was just a reality check. Yes, we can point fingers and blame things at everyone. Tonda will be doing the work in the background.
It was never going to... It doesn't matter who you bring in, right? It doesn't matter if you bring in fucking Pep Guardiola. There was no way that after Will Still goes and you bring another manager in that you're just going to win every single game. Just flat wasn't going to happen.
No one's going to win every single game anyway. So we don't know what's going to happen.
And if you'd have said to me, after Will Still's dismissal, if you'd have said to me, next 5 games, you're going to win 4, lose 1, I'd have laughed you out the room. I would have gone, you need checking. I would have.
You say that to me every week.
I possibly would have suggested you on some kind of hard narcotic. I'd have gone, not a chance. Have you seen how we've been playing? There is absolutely no way we're winning 4 out of 5 and losing 1, right? Well, there's no way. I would have told you you're drunk. So the fact that that he's actually got us to win 4 and lose 1, I think it's harsh. I honestly think it's harsh he hasn't got the job.
There's people out there saying Sheffield Wednesday doesn't count, this doesn't count. Sheffield Wednesday does count.
People, I find that football fans in general pick and choose what they do and don't include to suit their narrative.
Of course they do.
Right? So if they don't want him to have the job, they'll say that these games don't count. If they do want him to have the job, they'll say that he's done the best ever. My narrative is, I think that he should have the job. So I actually think if you just said to me 5 games ago, you're going to win 4 out of your 5 next games and shoot up the table, I'd have gone, fuck off. Not a chance.
And we've the one that we've lost in the last minute. It's not.
We
like
have
we
lost in the last minute.
It's not like we were out of the contest.
We also at one point went down and battled back to get an equaliser. Right, which us months ago just wouldn't have done.
Shows great character.
Just wouldn't have happened. So we watched us go down and we watched us get an equaliser under Tonda. And yes, we lost in the 98th minute. Yes, that sucks. It's a hell of a gut punch. But I think it shows character. I think you're right. I think it shows fight and determination. I think we've been playing much better football. We're using the same formation that Will Still played. That I sat here for weeks and said, I hate 5 at the back. And he's made a little tweak to it. And I'm like, this is our formation now, and we're playing well. So, that's just my narrative. That's my story. That's and I think it's really harsh as well to look at a manager who's won 4 out of 5 and gone, that game doesn't count, that game doesn't count, that game doesn't count. Garsty's nailed it. You can only beat what's put in front of you.
Matt's nailed it underneath him. It was a bad day at the office.
We were bad yesterday, and we probably should have got a point. That's impressive. What is interesting is he's also making some interesting decisions, and he's making some big decisions. So I don't like that Jack Stevens came back in yesterday. I think Kwashi should have stuck because the first time we got a clean sheet, I think you should stick that defensive line. What you've put in the show notes is quite interesting as well, that Archer now isn't being picked behind... Can you say the name for me?
Oyakunle. So
thank you.
Tonda Eckert confirmed yesterday that Cameron Archer he was fit. He was just not a part of the matchday squad. Simple.
But he also has looked absolute dog toffee every time he's come on.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Because at the start of the season, when we started, obviously he came on for a bit, he played a bit, he scored against Watford, scored against Norwich in the Cup, then scored against Watford the game after, played against the Skates, and everyone was thinking to ourselves, this is... I even saw tweets out there at the time saying Cameron Archer's going to win the Golden Boot this year, make it known. And quite clearly, he's gone off the boil somehow. Will still didn't fancy him. Tonda Eckert's come in, he's back fit. He didn't come off the bench again Tuesday, considering the game was done and dusted.
Yeah, he put Damien Downs on.
And then he hurt himself jumping. He didn't play him yesterday, didn't put him in the squad yesterday, because you potentially would then argue, this is hypothetically, you potentially would argue that he would have been a better change than Aribo coming on, because he would have at least worked harder. Potentially, he would have done.
Would he done?
And I think this is just, I think Tonda's starting to get the idea of exactly where his squad needs to be in terms of the players that he wants to move on. So you would assume Archer, Aribo, and Edozie have to be 3 players he has to move on. I think Aribo and Edozie, their contracts are up at the end of this season anyway. So
Stewart's is as well, isn't it?
Sorry?
Stewart's is as well, I think.
Stewart's is, Stevens is.
I don't think you can. I honestly don't think you can renew Stewart's.
The only way in any given way, and I don't think it will happen, that you keep Ross Stewart at this football club is if he comes back from injury and scores 15 goals between now and the end of the season.
Mark says, my only gripe is why does Tonda pick Aribo when he's clearly not bothered? Because Downs was suspended, Shea Charles is injured, Romeo's not fully fit at the moment. I think that's the only reason why. I honestly believe that's the only reason why. Who else has he put in instead at the moment?
He took him off for Jay Robinson yesterday, and he played him wide left, like he did on Thursday. So he played him wide right. He didn't play him as centre.
And Fraser works hard, but he doesn't inspire you with lots of creative confidence. If you think about what we play as a starting attacking lineup at the moment, players like Fraser and Aribo just don't fit in that kind of football. They just don't. They absolutely don't fit that kind of football. Unfortunately,
I think Fraser could do a job.
Yeah,
I think
Fraser's work rate is great, but again, you compare him with fellows Azaz, Cienza, even Armstrong at the moment, Yander. Like, if that's our core, that for me is a guaranteed 5 on the team sheet.
Another someone whose contract is up at the end of the season.
Hey,
Ryan Fraser.
Well, I mean, he's also our highest paid player, and that's shocking.
No, he's not. Joe Reaver is.
I thought is
Joe Reaver is our highest paid player.
That's also shocking. That's double shocking. That's more shocking than I thought.
£70,000 a week.
Honestly, at this point, if their contracts are up at the end of the season, at this point, I think if you can't sell them, you just cut your losses and just let them go. £70,000 a week off the books. Thank you very much. See you later. So talking about the wider championship, we're going to try and finish close on time today. Talking about the wider championship, wins for Oxford, which was cool, which was a shame because we could have capitalised on that and gone above Leicester. If we'd have won yesterday after Oxford got the win, we'd have gone above Leicester. We didn't. Shame.
Well, Leicester lost yesterday, so that was all interesting. Oxford beat Ipswich.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Oxford beat Ipswich. I watched that. Hull won away at Stoke. Sheffield United were 3-0 up within the first 45 minutes at Leicester, to the point that Leicester fans were streaming out the stadium again. They were probably thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, here we go again. They actually won 3-2 in the end. Leicester could have put a couple of goals back. Coventry beat Charlton. Nathan Jones has now lost 3 games in a row. Middlesbrough beat...
Nathan Jones.
Middlesbrough beat... Oh, I've gone blank. Derby. Norwich beat...
Norwich won. Say that.
Yeah, Norwich won. Can't
Preston
remember who Norwich
won.
beat. Preston came from 2 goals down to beat Sheffield Wednesday, and obviously the Baggies won. I think I'm going to put it on there because Gartz has put his little Welsh flag. Wrexham got a 1-1 draw with Blackburn.
Yeah.
There we go.
They're doing all right, Wrexham, at the moment. They're doing all right. Not great. Doing all right.
They're doing... People were expecting them to do a lot better, but then we'll get on to our Birmingham preview in a minute. I'm going to talk about them. And then obviously the other championship results are just underneath.
Yeah. It's back for a week.
Yeah.
It's kind of a double whammy
and
today
it's
as well.
difficult because...
It's actually a triple whammy.
If they'd have lost and then won, I probably wouldn't have mentioned it, but...
Yeah.
Welcome back to Skate Watch, people.
It's time for Skate Watch. And it's a triple whammy because not only did they lose 3-0 to Sheffield United, they also lost 1-0 to Bristol City, and most importantly...
They're now in the relegation zone.
I remember the first, 5, 6, 7 games of the season, all the skates on Twitter going, mind the gap, because they were above us. I'm like, you're in the relegation now. So
7-point difference. And actually, when you look at it now, I haven't got the live betting odds in front of me, but someone did say to me that they've apparently, obviously I work in Portsmouth, and I spoke to a fan coming back from the game yesterday, and he just said, I said to him, how was it? And he said, we were awful. He said, we didn't look like we were attacking all game. A lot of them are now calling for John Mousinho to get sacked.
Yeah, that was a couple of games ago. I think they were starting.
He was flavour of the month at the start of the season.
Yep.
They had a good start, and they had a good win. Didn't have a good win. Last weekend, they had a good win against Millwall.
Yeah.
Funny enough, and yeah.
So next game, Birmingham.
Birmingham at
Talk to
home.
me, Goose. And I can't seem to get onto fan funding. There we go. Oh, we've only got one super chat anyway. Right, well,
Come on, guys.
no one's become a new member. No one's gifted any members. Everyone hates you.
Is it the Christmas jumper? I was hoping for a bit more love for the Christmas
On my
jumper.
other channel, I get loads of gifteds, so it must be you.
Must be me.
Yeah.
If you want me to wear the Christmas jumper again, guys, come on.
Yeah. Anyway, Birmingham game. What are you thinking? It's a weird one, isn't it, to try and predict?
Birmingham are a weird one because they've got a very good squad, and I said to you earlier, and I mean it. They're kind of like Marmite to a degree. So they spent a lot of money in the summer. Chris Davis is the manager. He's the one that brought them up last year. They got promoted with record points last year. They got some very good players. They got Damari Gray and Patrick Roberts, who we were linked with. They got Kyogo. Loads of players. They spent £10 million in League One on Jay Stansfield, who's a goal machine, to be fair. And it honestly depends on how they're going to approach it. So you would like to assume that Birmingham will come down and they're going to approach this game and they're going to play their game, and their game is similar to expansive, attacking, etc., etc., etc.
Which, if they do, I'm feeling quite comfortable about it.
To a degree, yes. They also play tomorrow night. So Birmingham play against Watford tomorrow night. For those of you who haven't seen them, watch them, and I'm doing. Mark said there, Steve Grant on TSP, and he's right. They said that Birmingham are very flaky where they are doing. It's a game we should win.
3-1 Saints.
Okay. I'll say 2-1 Saints. Yeah, let's say 2-1.
Okay.
I think it's players are starting to come back from injury. We're going to see Flynn Downs back in. I would almost guarantee that. We're going to see Leo Cienza back in. There's going to be a bit more in terms of attack and intent, hopefully from both sides, because Millwall were very good yesterday, but they had 20 shots, 6 shots on target, but they were just more of a we're going to pelt your box type game. So I think there's going to be a bit more. It wouldn't surprise me if the game ends up in a draw. If we can keep Damari Gray and Jay Stansfield quiet, I think we'll be in with a better chance. But like I said, they're very rough and ready sides. So Birmingham have, their last 5 games, they've won 3 of them by scoring 4 goals. But then before that, they were losing and drawing with Sheffield Wednesday. They were losing to Hull. They were losing.
I really can't
City.
See us conceding 4 goals. At the moment, I can't, honestly.
I'm not saying we're going to concede 4 goals. I'm just saying they're scoring a lot of goals. Like I said, they've had an upsy downs out this season. They're 11th. So let's just see how it goes.
Still think 3-1 Saints. Let us know, chat. If you are watching on demand, stick your prediction in the comment section below, because comments help us. And then we have to jump into the little bit of fan funding that we've had from you wonderful people. So thank you, Star Pilot, for the $2 earlier in the stream. We got vibe checked hard. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of relevant.
It is, yeah, 100%.
They just outworked us yesterday. I don't think they outskilled us. I don't think they had, and I think they knew they couldn't do that. And so they played to their strengths and they stifled ours. And I think that was fair play Millwall. They beat us yesterday. That's what happened. But we also we weren't doing some of the things we've been doing in the last 4 games. And I think he'll know that. And I think he'll have spoke to the squad about that. And I think that will get rectified. But thank you for the $2 anyway, Star. Thank you, Ian, for the $5 for the jumper up the Saints. Don't encourage a jumper.
No, encourage it.
Don't encourage a jumper.
Every stream until after Christmas. It's only one of 2 Christmas jumpers I own. In fact, actually, it's the only Christmas jumper I own, because the other one I wear is the wife's. Don't ask.
And then thank you, Yeston Jones, for the 1 gifted membership. If you got gifted that membership, you can jump in Discord and come and join us in the Academy section there. Thank you so much to everybody who is already a member and supporting the channel. It's super important to us. It does, in fact, mean that we can keep doing this going on to next season and next season and next season. We'd like to bring guests in again, but they cost money. Well, some guests don't, but the big guests that everyone cares about do. Does that make sense? sort of.
The people that care about more, I think they would probably care about the other guests that were potentially trying to get on the show at some point. But I think people people like the Tiz and stuff.
People like the Tiz have an appearance fee, right?
Yeah.
And that appearance fee isn't, despite the way he looks, a box of hobnobs. So that's the way. That's the best way to support us. Anyway, you guys are incredible. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the show. We look forward to seeing you next Sunday. We're going to do this all over again after. It is game this Saturday, isn't it? Yeah.
It is Saturday, yeah.
I don't know why I keep thinking about it. Every time I'm like, another international break, but it's not this time, so,
No more international breaks until March, mate.
There
is an international break on at the moment. It's the ladies.
No one watches. Dotsy, thank you for the $5. Love the jumper.
See?
You're amazing too.
The fans are saying, they're talking, they're telling me about the jumper. They want the jumper more.
Stop it, chat!
And if we win on Saturday, this will change to a proper Santa hat. That's my plan.
mean, the jumper on Saturday is allowed at least because we're in December then.
Yeah, but I don't know.
My house currently looks like Santa's fucking thrown up.
Yeah, mine does too. It's amazing, isn't it?
Starpie, thank you for the $2 for the jumper up the Saints. Talking of up the Saints, I mean, I am still more positive than I think I was expecting to be after being beat by Millwall, which was a game I honestly expected to win. So I think we can have a positive and uplifted end to the show, Ash. So before we disappear, is there anything you want to say to these wonderful people?
Thanks for the money for the jumper. Up the Saints!
Up the Saints!